Welcome, dear friends, to the WordSmith. This is a sanctuary where usually music analysis, but in this case, psychology and philosophy, are going to entwine in the dance of ideas, reflections, and melodies. Today, we embark upon a most intriguing journey, a reaction and thoughtful analysis of Ren's 1 million subscribers defining success. Now, this is no mere celebration of a numerical triumph. It is a deeply human meditation on what it means to succeed, which is an exploration of self, society, and the ever-slippery nature of fulfillment. So together, we shall probe its psychological undercurrents and philosophical resonances, while savoring the artistry with which Ren has laid bare his musings. So before we set sail on this voyage of discovery, might I entreat you to lend this channel your kind support. Do leave a comment with your thoughts below, strike the noble like, and if you haven't already, subscribe and share so others may join this intellectual and melodic journey. And for those who wish to be like these individuals on screen, to elevate their generosity, there are avenues aplenty. There's Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, and the delightful little gem known as Super Thanks right here on YouTube. So with curiosity sharpened and minds receptive, let us turn the page and step into Ren's reflections on success, shall we? Okie dokie, let's get straight into this.
I want to keep this short and sweet because I wrote something that I want to share with you. But first of all, I just want to say how grateful I am. I've reached 1 million subscribers on YouTube, which is a flipping huge milestone.
Yeah, it is.
I wanted to say thank you to everyone who supported my music over the years, whether you're newly on board or have been here for a while.
It's been a pleasure.
I want to say thank you to the YouTube reaction community who have gotten behind my stuff in a big way and really helped me reach this goal. So thank you guys.
That's us.
Yeah, I wanted to read this passage that I wrote about success. It's too much for me to remember right now, so bear with me. But yeah.
Okay, right. So what's really amazing is I found that in the YouTube community, and I do follow a lot of people, most of them gamers, critical thinkers, philosophers, psychologists, music aficionados, pretty much anything and everything that can sort of exfoliate or things that I'm immersed in that I can learn from. And to be completely honest, there aren't many who would do a video thanking them for 1 million subscribers or 500,000, 100,000 or what have you. So it's really refreshing to see someone of such immense talent and magnitude just demonstrate such beautiful gratitude to everyone who supported him. Okay, so I'm really grateful that this is broken up into chapters, and yeah, it makes it easier for me to sort of psychologically and philosophically analyze.
Success to me means that I have a responsibility that transcends me. If I have a platform where people are paying attention, then I feel like it's my duty to make that count.
True.
It's far more important than my aspirations with music and what I could personally gain. There's a saying that stuck with me recently, which was a rising tide lifts all ships.
That's
somehow by finding success for myself has meant that I can find success for the people around me. And that makes me feel very rich.
Beautiful.
I'm in a very strange position right now where I owe much of my success to the most destructive force in my life, which has been the turbulence of my physical and mental illness.
Very wise.
The thing that has by far brought me the most pain has been a source of constant inspiration, which ironically led to creations which brought me the most joy.
Yeah, philosophically and psychologically, you can unpack a lot just from that. Okay, so Ren's meditation on defining success is nothing short of profound in my eyes, not least because it resists the shallow with which the word is so often adorned. For him, I would believe, success is not measured in baubles or accolades or personal advancement, but in a moral and communal responsibility. If eyes and ears are upon him, then the gift of attention must be honored by creating something of value. At least that's what I believe. And I think that's what he believes. His invocation or the proverb, A rising tide lifts all ships is especially telling. He perceives his own achievements not as private triumphs, but as a mechanism by which others too may ascend, whether by inspiration, opportunity, or shared joy. And I can resonate with that. I've enjoyed those things from him. Yet the statement is tinged with a paradoxical poignancy. The very crucible that inflicted the greatest suffering, his physical and mental illness, has also simultaneously been the wellspring of his most resonant creations. Pain, though destructive, became the catalyst of art, which in turn brought joy, connection, and meaning. Thus, for Ren, success is a strange alchemy, anguish transfigured into beauty, individuality transmuted into collective uplift, and self-expression elevated into responsibility. It is a vision both humbling and ennobling, redefining success not as self-advancement, but as service, resilience, and shared enrichment. Okay, so this next section is called Pain. Let's get into it.
Creating art which means something to somebody else and can potentially be a companion to somebody else in the dark justifies my own pain. And I desperately needed that to be justified. There are a lot of people alive today who live in the dark. It's a place that I'm very familiar with. In the peak of my health problems, I was severely underweight. All my meals had to be restricted and blended, and I was so tired that I couldn't participate in life. I couldn't socialize, I couldn't watch films, I couldn't read. My bones constantly hurt. Even standing in the shower was excruciating and exhausting. And this went on for years, with no answers. Nobody could have ever convinced me during that time that my pain and suffering would be a source for something good. Because it felt insidious.
Okay. Yeah, this is one of those videos. Okay. Philosophically and psychologically, you can spend a lot of time just examining that statement. So this is what I've gotten from it so far. So in this part, Ren's reflection in pain reads almost like a sacred confession, like a testament to the alchemy by which human suffering, at its most unrelenting and insidious, can be transmuted into something radiant and sustaining. His words possess the quiet gravity of someone who has not merely glimpsed at the abyss, but dwelt within it. His life narrowed to a series of restrictions so severe that even the simplest acts, a meal, a film, a shower, can become ordeals. In what long night, when existence is reduced to bone-deep ache and exhaustion, that notion that such pain could serve any greater purpose would have seemed not just implausible, but cruelly absurd. And yet, through art, he discovers a paradoxical justification that his suffering might become a lantern for another lost in the dark, a companion where there was only isolation. This is not the sentimental platitude of pain makes you stronger, but something far rarer and more profound. Pain as a vocabulary of empathy, as a reservoir from which meaning may be drawn and offered to others. And in this, I think, he reveals a truth both devastating and redemptive, that out of the most constricted, until corridors of existence can emerge a force of connection powerful enough to transform not just the artist's own anguish, but the lives of those who encounter it.
Nobody could have ever convinced me that something constructive can come from hurting every day. But I'm here to tell you that if you are hurting every day, don't be afraid.
Yeah.
One thing I know to be a constant law of the universe, is that life is inconsistent.
Very true.
Life is beautiful and life is hideous. Life is kind and life is cruel.
Interesting dichotomy.
Dancing inside this dichotomy and inconsistency makes me know that you won't hurt forever. Whether that comes from resolution of what you're going through or acceptance of where you are. You won't hurt forever.
You won't hurt forever. Yeah. He's right. And let me just explain something about what he's said in this section. I love what he says here in Life is Inconsistent. It sort of possesses that quiet, weathered authority of someone who has crossed a long, harsh winter and emerged into a tentative spring. He speaks not as a preacher, I don't think he's being preachy, but as a fellow traveler, offering a message of solace to those still stranded in pain. Where earlier he described the seeming pointlessness of daily suffering, here I feel like he reframes it within a cosmic rhythm. The universe itself is inconsistent, a ceaseless interplay of beauty and hideousness, kindness and cruelty, which is true in my estimation. This is not a naive optimism that denies suffering, but a kind of hard-won metaphysical realism, an acceptance that no state, however unbearable, can remain fixed. In this dance of dichotomy, impermanence becomes a form of mercy. Ren's reassurance, you won't hurt forever, like he says, is not a platitude, but an offering rooted in lived experience, allowing for two forms of deliverance, either the resolution of one circumstance or the hard but liberating grace of acceptance. It is in essence like a hymn to impermanence, a recognition that even in life's most merciless passages, change, that constant law of the universe, remains a subtle ally. Okay, so this next section is called Pain Conceals Wisdom. I mean, just that, those 3 words alone have so much depth. Okay, let me just listen and then go through it.
You don't know yet whether or not your pain conceals gold. It definitely conceals wisdom, and it's definitely a catalyst for filling you with empathy. So stand strong, my friends, and don't let the darkness consume you. Because once you know the dark and become intimate with it, you become very capable of wielding the light.
Amen, bruv.
You could be instrumental for changing this world for the better. There's nothing humble about shrinking or doubting yourself because you are large. You can be ferocious, and you could be magnificent. For the medical industry, who too often let people fall through the cracks, it's your duty to do better. For the people living in the light, who have either stepped out of their shadow or have never had to walk beside it, it's your responsibility to put out untainted love.
That's interesting. Put out untainted love. But even that whole previous section, damn, okay, need to go through that. I love the name of this chapter. It's really interesting. So this section, he's entitled Pain Conceals Wisdom. I think that is Ren at his most alchemical, taking the raw, unendurable matter of suffering and refining it into a philosophy that dignifies rather than diminishes pain. What strikes me personally is the subtle but profound shift from personal testimony to a form of collective commissioning. He is no longer merely describing his own afflictions. He is addressing the listener directly, as if anointing them with the responsibility born of experience. So when I think about that more profoundly, the assertion that pain conceals wisdom is not a trite observation, but a radical reframing of human fragility. So to me, it suggests that those who have endured prolonged darkness possess a hidden literacy. And I think that's true because I can resonate with that. It's an understanding of despair that paradoxically makes them more fluent in compassion, more capable of wielding light with precision and integrity. To know what the abyss is, in Ren's telling, to be uniquely qualified to resist it, and even to guide others through its shadows. And I mean, listening to him, I can notice too how he dismantles the false modesty of self-erasure. He says there's nothing humble about shrinking or doubting yourself because you are large. Now, this is the call to reject the pernicious cultural narrative that suffering makes one small, broken, or diminished. Instead, Ren exhorts us to embrace the latent ferocity and magnificence forged in hardship. The last part of that section I really enjoyed as well. There's like a widening into a moral critique. the medical industry, often blind or indifferent to those falling through the cracks, as he says. And we must do better. Those living untested by darkness must extend untainted love in this way. The passage functions as both a benediction and a challenge to sufferers, to institutions, and to society at large. Pain here, I think for him, is not the end of the story. It is the hidden crucible from which empathy, light, and responsibility can emerge. And that resonates very strongly with me. All right, let's keep this going.
Our own greed, desire to ferociously expand, and decisions rooted in self-interest can benefit ourselves in a material sense, but can be very destructive to the hive and the world around us, ultimately hurting ourselves. Collective. So we really must consider that if we're going to step into a bright future. As humans, we have an incredible potential, and it would be a shame to throw it away.
Yeah,
so community, humanity, and changing our relationship with the natural world so it leans more towards homeostasis must be a priority. Priority number one.
Priority number one. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with that section especially, so I'm just going to take my time with it a little bit. Okay. Put out untainted love. I think that's Ren stepping beyond the personal sphere into the civilizational, where the previous reflections were intimate, almost confessional in a way. And here he casts his gaze outward, speaking as if to the collective body of humanity rather than to the isolated sufferer. For me, his words carry both warning and sort of a vision, recognition of the dangers of unchecked greed, expansion, and self-interest, coupled with a call to realign ourselves with deeper, more sustainable values, which is an admirable call. And the metaphor of the hive is telling. Humanity is not a scatter of disconnected individuals, but a living, breathing organism, interdependent, fragile, and profoundly susceptible to imbalance. When one part acts purely for gain, the repercussions reverberate through the whole. So this ecological and social perspective reflects a wisdom forged not just in Ren's personal suffering, but in a keen awareness of how systems like medical, societal, environmental, which so often falter when self-interest outweighs compassion. And I mean, switch on the news, you can see it. Then there's this, his invocation of homeostasis is striking, particularly coming from an artist who has endured the brutal instability of chronic illness. So homeostasis, which is the delicate balance that sustains life, becomes both a biological and societal ideal. For Ren, the world's flourishing depends upon our ability to achieve equilibrium. Not perpetual growth, not domination, but balance. And yet, his vision is not cynical. He speaks of incredible potential, the vast reservoir of creativity, empathy, and ingenuity latent with humanity. The tragedy, as he framed it, would be to squander this gift through short-sightedness. Hence his clarion call, priority number one. This is no mere suggestion, but an imperative. The future depends on reordering our values, community over isolation, humanity over self-interest, harmony with the natural world over exploitation. So in essence, Ren's message here, Al, extends the ethic of compassion he learned through suffering into a global mandate. Look, if pain teaches the individual empathy, then empathy at scale can teach humanity to live in balance. Okay, so this final section is called Be With It, which is rather interesting, so let's keep that going.
If you're watching this and there's a knot tied up in your stomach with bitterness, anger, or hatred for your fellow human being, be with it, feel it, understand it, express it, and then let it go.
Yes.
You're hurting.
Let it go.
Give yourself love, forgive yourself, and then project that love outwards, and the anger will pass.
Yeah.
We have a decision in every interaction to tilt the world towards heaven or hell, towards Jannah or Jahannam, utopia or dystopia. And some people's ideas of heaven will be another's image of hell. So tread carefully.
He's read
but
well.
Treat those differences with respect. Tapestries are made beautiful because of the variety in the sum of their parts.
Stay strong, bruv.
To 1 million people inside this rich tapestry for the opportunity for me to try and spread my own vision of what I believe to be good.
Good lad.
And thank you for justifying my pain. Thank you. I love you.
That was not easy for him. You could see he was trying to keep it together multiple times. And I can understand why. This man is extremely well read. And I mean, I picked up on the references that he made. Because I think I've read more or less the same things. This is why I'd love to have an interview with him, because I feel like we've sort of walked the same sort of emotional journeys. Maybe not the exact same experiences, but definitely we've had our troubles. Some self-inflicted, others were external. But at the end of the day, you are tasked and mandated to treat yourself as someone you are responsible for and make a success out of yourself. And he's definitely done that. I've still got some ways to go. But this was extremely encouraging. I feel more blessed to have watched that, and I feel more encouraged to grow, persevere, and keep going on. So thank you to the patron that recommended this video. Yeah. Okay, so this is the final section of the video. I like the way he entitles his chapters. This one is just called Be With It. And I think this is the culmination of Ren's entire philosophy. The point where his reflections on pain, balance, and empathy converge into an explicit call for personal and collective transformation. And again, this is just me interpreting what I'm hearing. But earlier, the sections wrestled with suffering as an unavoidable part of life and art, where he speaks about what we do with that suffering, how we metabolize it, and how we often project it outward. His first instruction, like I mentioned, be with it, it's deceptively simple. It is the essence of mindfulness and compassion rolled into 3 words. So much of society's response to anger, bitterness, or hatred is to deny or suppress it. Ren instead invites us to sit with it, to understand it, to express it honestly, and then to release it. In his framing, these emotions are not moral failings, but signals of hurt, and hurt requires love, not shame. So from here, Ren draws the link between the personal and the planetary. Every interaction, every moment of response tilts the world incrementally towards, like he says, heaven or hell. This is not grandiose rhetoric, but a stark reminder of agency. He's suggesting that the shape of society is not just determined by leaders or institutions, but by millions of small, everyday decisions to extend compassion or to indulge in cruelty, to respect difference or to deepen division. His invocation of multiple spiritual traditions, heaven and hell, Jannah and Jahannam, utopia and dystopia, underscores that no worldview has monopoly on goodness. What is paradise to one may be torment to another. Therefore, the path forward is not uniformity, but respect for plurality, an ethic mirrored in his metaphor of the tapestry. And, I like that word. This tapestry metaphor is especially powerful as a closing image. A tapestry is not beautiful because all its threads are the same, but because of the richness of its variety and interwoven contrasts. Diversity here is not an obstacle to be managed, but the very source of beauty and strength. By thanking his 1 million listeners as part of this tapestry, Ren is situating himself not as a singular artist atop a pedestal, but as one thread among many, which I love. An artist whose pain and vision are justified only insofar as they contribute to a shared fabric of meaning. The final words, thank you and I love you, are disarming in their simplicity. After laying out such weighty reflections on suffering, responsibility, and human potential, it feels like Ren closes not with exhortation, but with gratitude and love. That is the most radical gesture of all. To end a testimony of pain not in bitterness, but in tenderness, not in alienation, but in communion. And I feel like he's offering his listeners, us, something both deeply personal and profoundly universal. It's an invitation to feel, to forgive, to love, and to participate in shaping a future that is not imposed from above, but woven from within. And it's done thread by thread, one by one, as a collective making individual monumental changes. And so, as our exploration draws to its close, we find ourselves enriched by Ren's contemplations on success, not merely as a numerical conquest, but as a mirror to the psyche, a canvas for philosophy, and a testament to the paradoxes of the human condition. So, if this dialogue, if my reflection on the philosophy and psychology resonated with you, do grace me with your own thoughts in the comment section below. I relish nothing more than conversing with thoughtful minds such as yours. A courteous click upon the like button and a subscription to Call the Wordsmith and the sharing of this video with fellow seekers of meaning will help our little community grow, flourish, and just sing ever more resoundingly. And if you are moved to extend your patronage, your benevolence is welcome through Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, and super thanks right here on YouTube. Every thoughtful gesture is deeply welcomed and appreciated. Thank you all once again so much. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, be kind, be gentle, be respectful to one another, and help each other out when you can. And I'll see you lot in the next video. Take care, everyone. Cheers.